Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, my fellow YouTubers. Welcome to another edition of Airy Sky Rita Lee's video blog, the brunch edition. Now, Pee Wee and I were talking in the first video. Seems someone got upset on on so someone sent me a package. You gotta be kidding me. Seems like a spam. Okay, so basically, I have a lot to pack in today. Okay, a lot to discuss. Global and U.S. shortages. Mostly, it's going to be U.S. shortages. Okay. Now, I did some research, cross-checking, recross-checking, etc., etc. To Pee Wee, I have a lot to unpack. I was at like 70 some notes. Now I'm over 100. I'm at like 100 and what something. I made a lot of notes. 105 notes. Okay, this stuff is scary. Okay, first of all, the grocery stores are going empty. Chloe went to the store the other day and confirmed grocery stores are going empty. Literally. And people say there's no problems in this country. Well, there is. And I'll get to all of this. We're going to unpack it all and we're going to share with you all what's going on. Okay, grocery stores are going empty. Pee Wee was just emailing me today about canned meats basically going up in price. $2 for a 4-pack of chicken or tuna. And I think it's the large cans of tuna. I can clearly tell you everything's gone up. Even bunny feed's gone up, but we'll get to that. So I got a list here. I want to go over one thing at a time. Um, did you know that the fire departments around the country are sometimes doing double and triple shifts? Yeah, because no one wants to pony up to firefighting abilities. Volunteers are being short staffed. Natural gas apparently is being shut off on parts of the country, and they're not explaining why. So we got a natural gas shortage too. I mean, literally, if you look at natural gas, you look at other gases, it is literally really bad. And people say, "Oh, that's medication shortages." Around the country and around the world, pharmaceutical companies don't have the technicians to work. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. Just like um, other shortages. I mean, think about it. You go to your pharmacy and they say, "We're sorry, we can't give you that med because it's a shortage. That med is on a shortage." You know, so one of our people, like I said, I just looked at the numbers, lost another subscriber. Who knows who it is? Probably Chris, more likely, because Chris was going to charge his phone. I had to get some notes together and do some research on Google and then recheck Google. So I was like pausing something, doing something, tablet type phone device. So let's continue. Frozen food shortage. They don't have the shortages are due to the factories having a staff shortage. So that's why people are seeing their warehouses empty. Literally. Another thing is there a pasta shortage? I just found and Googled this. There is a pasta shortage. Again, a severe pasta shortage. Yeah. So if you want to basically buy pastas, macaroni, cheese, ramen, there's a shortage. That's something that's new that I didn't even know about. I had to Google it. A pasta shortage. There's a baby formula shortage. Places are not having any baby formula. Another thing is they're now limiting people on toilet paper purchases because there's a toilet paper shortage. How's this for it? There's a mothball fleet in Arizona, mostly, where they keep all the airplanes of the world there. That's in mothball. Companies are stripping airplane parts from these mothball parts just to keep the main airplanes that are flying right now in working order. I mean, think of this. If you look at it from the airplane point of view, we're doing the same thing Russia did during the Cold War, stripping parts from this to fix that. And eventually our airplanes won't work. We'll go the way like Aeroflot. Oh, there's a hole in the airplane like in Qantas. We'll just patch it up with a rag and hope like hell it doesn't pop out at 50,000 feet in your airs, you know. I mean, I've seen and heard stories like the RV sales. I mean, people were talking RV sales are down. People don't want to buy RVs right now. Travel trailers, trucks, fifth wheels, campers. You load a camper on a truck, the fuel mileage goes down. You tow a trailer or fifth wheel, the fuel mileage goes down. You don't want to buy a boat because you got to basically pay the fuel on it. And fuel is getting higher and higher and expensive. So they're trying to crush anyone who wants a leisurely vehicle like a travel trailer and a truck, camper, boat, whatever, because they don't want anyone to have it. But at the same time, if people aren't working, they can't afford them. So these companies like Bayliner will start cutting their productions down, but they have to cut it down anyways, because I'll get to all that about the boats and other factories. Another thing is the factories around the country and the world are cutting hours. Look at China, for example, billion in lockdown. Supply and demand's gone. Supply is down, demand is up. Low sales nationwide on everything except for all the stuff that people want to do for their homes and their needs and their luxury items have gone down. Everyone is flocking just to get food. And the people that aren't opening their eyes, they're saying, oh, there's nothing wrong. The Republicans will fix it. Really? Republicans lie. Same with Democrats. Think about it. I mean, I'm giving you an entire list of stuff to think about. Computer parts. The average wait time for parts from China is 485 days minimum. Shall we continue? Law enforcement around the country are overwhelmed and overworked. And then they're told to cut their hours. Stay in the office mostly until there's an emergency call. You know, there's a lot of places cutting policies. You get into a car accident. Well, guess what? You're stuck not doing it unless there's bodies or carnage. We don't want to do that. I mean, you know, and this is stuff going down the damn toilet. Yacht builders. They can build anything they want, yacht builders. We have yacht builders out here. They can get anything. But anyone else who needs something, they can't get it. You see where I'm going with this? Blood labs. Again, not just medication shortages. The labs can't produce the vials, the vials and the coagulants and stuff. They can't because there's a people shortage. So because we have a people shortage, no one wants to work for the blood labs because, you know, it is crippling the country. Sales on Mack trucks, Peterbilt, Kenworth, and Volvo. That's what I was looking for. Volvo. Our sales is zero. They're not replacing the tractor rigs. And the tractor chassis, as we talked about, is really delayed right now. You know, they can't just move it. They don't have enough tractor, you know. Lumber, again, lumber shortages is going through the roof. I know my family talked about lumber shortages in Texas because their house was being delayed because they couldn't get enough lumber. Hardware shortages. Hardware shortages are nails, screws, doors, doorknobs, jams, everything. They're not producing them fast enough, so hardware stores are running out. Tools. Most of Huskies and Harbor Freight and Craftsman are all made in China. So there's a shortage on tools. Me and Chloe's got several tool sets. We're not worried about tools. We got that. Another thing that's really interesting that I didn't think so was manufacturers that make energy efficient windows are completely and thoroughly shortaged out. You know, maybe they're made in China, maybe they're made over here. No one knows, but they're not talking about where they're made. They're just saying window shortage. I had to look that up. Paint. Apparently, there's a 22% surcharge nationwide when you go buy a gallon of paint. So they're charging you a 22% fuel surcharge. I mean, literally, Quikrete went up another 7% in price for Quikrete, whether it be 20, 40, 50, 60, 80-pound bags, all went up 7% minimum. Car makers, they're cutting their hours. Again, cutting their hours. The 8-hour shifts, 5 days a week, basically, not 7 days, because they don't have the computer chips. Like I said, computer chips are like 485 backlogs, but somehow Korea and Vietnam can make those cell phones and bring them out faster and faster. So I don't know why we can't subcontract to Vietnam or South Korea to make computer chips, or just build factories over here. Another thing, margarine is up $2 minimum per container. The sheriff around the countries and law enforcement are laying off peeps because they can't afford the fuel. or there's no money to cover it because no one wants to pay the property taxes to pay their wages. A lot of people say it's summertime. Constructions projects are going up through the roof. Construction's on hold. New houses, new apartment complex, things that are building like skyscrapers, etc., on hold. Construction is on hold. There's multiple reasons: material shortages, hardware shortages, tool shortages, other shortages. Another thing: delivery companies around the country are running slow, so they're cutting costs when they can, delivering with a full truck. And that's because people are cutting their spending down. Online sales are down completely, cutting their corners. And then you say, oh, well, and because fuel's going up between $5 and $10 a gallon right now, I say 5 to 10 because it hasn't hit $10 except one place in California. It is basically $10 in one place in California. But people are cutting back on restaurants because of their thing. What was this thing here? People are cutting back on spending. People are cutting back on restaurants. People are cutting back on their travel. Some people say, oh, we're going to travel all over. Airlines are full. Well, yeah, it's if people have the money. Most people don't have the money. Look at the big pictures. People are cutting back their travel. People are cutting back camping. And when they do go camping, the national parks are basically got a lot of spots open because no one's going to be towing the trailers, driving motorhomes, campers, etc. around camping. People are cutting their trips to the store. They're ordering what they can, saving on fuel charge when possible. Another thing is it's $10 a gallon just for one Coleman 16-ounce can of propane. 16 ounces, 1 pound, 16 ounces is approximately $10. Think of it. England.
I might make corn dogs soon.
Yeah, I was thinking of doing the same after my video.
We'll get the oven.
Yeah, well, you need to, there is no pans clean. All the dishes.
Well, they're not clear. Until then, I'll clean my face off and head out and get something slight to snack on.
Mine do the same for me, I guess.
Since you're still doing your bids, I mean.
Yeah, well, like that one too. So basically, look at Coleman Fuel, for example. Coleman Fuel was like $4.97, $2.97 a gallon back in the day, $1.97 now. It's over $15 a gallon for Coleman Fuel. $15 a gallon. Amazon fulfillment centers. They built some new fulfillment centers, but they can't open them due to the fact that the computer chips and stuff that runs the robots aren't available. They're behind. Like I said, chips are 458 days behind. So what are they doing? They're basically stripping other robot places to keep their fulfillment centers running for other places. It feels like the Cold War. I'll get to my theories in a minute. Ambulances are running rampant. Some of the ambulances can't even get parts to keep the ambulance going. That includes your fire trucks, basically. Your fire trucks, your semi trucks, your mail trucks, all these parts can't be gotten. So basically, we're going slowly the way of Cuba. We're going to have to maintain our parts and strip other parts and strip other parts and strip other parts. Eventually, there won't be any more parts to strip because of the way the country's going. Now, I have a few theories. They're theories, but only theories, so I will explain it after the list. Meds for ambulances, the critical meds like nitro can't be acquired right now. Nitro and other things are getting harder and harder. People with heart disease, those things are getting harder and harder to get a hold of. Nitro and meds they use to contain something for the ambulance. Sometimes they're saying the EKG leads that the ambulance uses can't use the leads due to the fact that there's not enough little sticky backs. I mean, the whole market's going to be crashing. Did you know wood stoves, pellet stoves, gas fireplaces, and furnaces are at least a 12 months out minimum? So, and parts are getting harder to replace your wood stoves. Metal pipes are getting harder for wood stoves and pellet stoves if you need to replace them. Same goes with parts for your furnace. I mean, they're getting harder and harder to get a hold of. So think of it. Heavy equipment. I said construction workers are having a problem. Well, think of Caterpillar, Kubota, and Kubota and John Deere, and Macy Ferguson, for example. Those parts are hard to get. I know someone who lives out in farm community who had connections with the John Deere factory, who's the head parts manager. I talked to his wife because he passed away. She's still connected to the John Deere dealership. They can't get parts. So if they can't get parts or attachments, and they can't repair things. The warranties on the heavy machinery equipment is backlogged. So they're basically sitting in storage lots waiting to fix them. Kia prices, for example, increases every 2 weeks right now. They're increasing things every 2 weeks because, for one, there's a shortage because of Kia, where the Kia gets their stuff, and two is because no one's buying, so they keep raising the price, hoping that someone will need to do something, or as they say, a fool and their money is easily parted. Another thing, there's a battery shortage. I emailed a connection of mine after learning about this. The battery shortage basically is not just on regular batteries, like your AA's, your AAA's, for your TV remotes, but also for your hearing aids, for your pacemakers, for your flashlights, your C batteries, your D batteries. Everything you look at, your 9-volt batteries, they're all having a battery shortage. And that is not just because it's a battery shortage, but it's also a shortage of car batteries, motorhome batteries, boat batteries, tractor batteries. All of it is a battery shortage. Again, police departments around the country, they can't afford to keep their police departments. So crime's going rampant. But at the same time, police can't patrol everywhere because they've been told to cut their mileage down, maybe 5 miles a day to 25 miles a day. They're also told that they have to cut corners on the mileage on their long life engines because not only there's a fuel shortage, like I just said, but there's a part shortage for your police cars. There's a part shortage for ambulances. There's a part shortage for trucks, heavy trucks. Oh, and not to mention, there's also a salt shortage because rock salt's hard to get a hold of. People can't keep rock salt in stock for salting and sanding the roads right now. Why is that? I'll get to it. There's also a nut shortages around the country. They're not picking nuts fast enough. So a can of nuts went up 40 to 70% for just a can of mixed nuts, Packing plants, meat plants, they're laying off people or they're shutting their doors. There's one in California that's shutting down because they can't meet the demands of the consumers, and the consumers don't want to buy meat right now. I mean, look at Pee-wee. She said it herself. The canned meats are basically sold out everywhere. Walmart price increase. Last Friday, they increased 8,000 plus items from 10 to 20%. There's no inflation? Think again. Another thing, there's special cuts of meat shortages. Prime ribs on a shortage. Turkey's on shortage. Ham's on shortage. Someone went in the other day asking for supposedly London broil, came out with none because the special warehouses couldn't keep them in because the meat packing plants aren't cutting that type of meat right now because they don't think anyone wants to buy London broil. When you do find London broil, it's between $5 and $10 a pound. I know the last time I saw London broil was, so there's a special meat shortages. Canned chicken went up 50% more. Canned tuna went up 50% more. As I said, crime's getting out of hand. Tampon shortages. We have a tampon shortage. A tampon shortage. I just heard about that the other day in the news, and I laughed my ass off. Next on the list, apartment rents are going up. Some states they allow the the management company or the owners to raise prices to what they want. And if you can't pay, you move out. And because of it, some of these people are going to lose their business thoroughly by not allowing people to live there. Produce. I just looked up the numbers. It's about 33% across the board for fresh produce. It's going to go up higher for apples because we produce apples in Washington State. And there's a freeze and a rain thing. There's more rain and freezing right now. Again, can't repair any cars or trucks or heavy equipment on warranty. Why? Because there's part shortages. Some companies that manufacture cars, Ford, Dodge, Chevy, they're going to stockpile parts and try to wade this out by just stockpiling parts because they can't get the computer chips to make the cars. Because apparently the computer chips and the government chips and all this crap the government forces on these cars, they want to make it all state of the art. They want to know that you got a GPS tracking so they know where you're going, when you're going, how and how and how. I'll get to all that. Next up is there's a nurse shortage. Nurse shortage. A lot of places don't want to turn around nurses now because of nurse shortages, medication shortages. So if you know how to do manage medicines and take care of yourself, you might want to take a medical course or at least a EMT type course to do it at home. So if something happens, you can take care of your family. Another thing is ham's gone up in price. Pork hams have gone out. They're sold out. Bacon's gone up and sold out. When there's sales, people suck it up. One guy went into a place recently for one of those ham shops, I think it was honey baked or something, and it was like $20 a pound. $20 a fucking pound. Yeah. I mean, out here, the honey baked hams are basically sold out, but then again, who's going to pay that? I mean, look at other companies like burgers. They're not making enough money due to the fact that the prices are too high. Other companies make hams too, but there's a lot of online places that sell meats. Some people are paying it. They say, well, I'll get a ham. The secret is a stockpile of hams are not on the sale at the holidays. Fill your freezer up with hams and turkeys. Yep. Next up is the water bills. Water bills are increasing 31% across the board nationwide minimum. That not including 40% increase in electric companies. Now I know Chloe's basically somewhere else. She didn't hear all the she did. She didn't say anything about the utilities. They're going to start increasing more on the utilities fees also, by the way, across the board. I'm doing some research on that to confirm. But cell phone and internet costs are going to go up. Trash is going up $12 per quarter. A lot of debit and EBT card readers around the country are going down because of errors and because of delays and because of the internet servers. They use servers around the country. Do you think this is just normal? It could be those systems were hacked and they had to bring in someone, and the IT could have taken 3 to 10 days just to get out there because we're short on IT guys. Has anyone ever thought that it could have been hacked? Another thing on the list is 60% increase in farm feeds for your cows, your chickens, your goats, those things. 60%. I mean, if you raise a rabbit, that went up in price. Little Bun here, he eats his pellets twice a day, so that costs money. Coffee, 50% increase. They've increased coffee. I just looked it up. Coffee was increased. Honey's gone up 50% increase. I mean, literally. Factories are cutting hours. Again, they're cutting hours because they're short on people. I've talked about this time and time again in my video. They are, Another shortage, people shortage. Gas stations and convenience stores, grocery stores that were open 24s cut their hours because there's a employee shortage. No one wants to work. They think they can just ride the storm. Tape shortage. I just found out there's a tape shortage. There's a shortage on medical dyes that's used for like the stomach test, mixing with the Kool-Aid crap. I always like the Kool-Aid joke, drink the Kool-Aid. There's firefighter shortages, volunteer firefighters. A lot of them are retiring. No one wants to pony up to do their civic duties. But they'll pony up to pick a gun and stand a post when it comes to being in the military. Go figure. There's an oil filter shortage. People can't get their cars oil filters. You think that's coincidence? Maybe they're all made in China. I don't know. Or again, it's a people shortage. Think of it. This is the stuff going. Stores going cash only. Some of them are going cash only. Liquor stores, pot stores. Pot stores are literally running on a skeleton crew, only taking cash. Liquor stores are doing the same. The stuff that some people need because they don't trust the card readers. The banks won't release the money fast enough, so the central banks are giving trouble. Or, again, they've been hacked. So I don't know. Just there you have. Some of the factories are closing permanently. Factories, meatpacking plants are closing permanently because no one's purchasing the products to keep them going, or the supply and demand is so low that they can't make any product due to the employee shortages. Again, I call it the lazy worker shortage. Another shortage, glass shortage. Currently, they can't make enough glass in this country right now. Go figure. So we have a glass bottle shortage and glass shortage and everything else. There's a 70% increase in rubber and plastic. So if you need shoes, you're going to be paying 70% more for that. Nylons, if you're wearing shoes or nylon pantyhose or tights, that's a 70% increase. Or at least double the price, mostly on all nylon. Aluminum shortage, aluminum went up. Apparently people aren't recycling their cans fast enough. They're stockpiling their cans till they get a full bag, then recycling them. And the companies can't make enough soda cans, so they're going from soda cans to plastic, but we're having a plastic shortage too. Because people are throwing the plastic bottles in the trash and not using a recycling thing. When I recycle all my plastic bottles and beer bottles and wine bottles and whiskey bottles, goes into the recycling for that. And I label it on the with a piece of tape around the garbage bag. So when I put it in the recycling bin, the recycle guys look at it and go, "Oh, so they put an entire thing, paper. I recycle my papers and newspapers in the paper part of the recycling thing." So they do, as long as you guys think about recycling that. But then again, some of the factories that do the recycling aren't recycling fast enough because they don't have the manpower to do it. So again, it's a manpower problem. There's a bike shortage because most of the bikes are made in China. So bike shortage. Everyone wants bikes because of the price of gas. And everyone wants electric motors. Which the batteries are hard to get a hold of. Battery shortage. And then the electric motors are in shortages. So the wait list is like 2026 for electric bike batteries and motors. And because some bikes are made of steel and some are made of aluminum, there's a steel shortage with a 30% increase in pricing on that. Motor oil for cars, lawnmowers, weed whackers, those things are needed. Chainsaws, engine oil and stuff like that. There is a shortage on those. People can't get their oil for their cars. You think I'm thinking of something? Yes, I do. I got a theory on this. We're making good time, though, on the entire list, though. Let me see. Did I miss anything? Nope. We're on the last page now. What else? Home decor shops around the country are down 70% because no one wants to do home decoration projects. Brand names and store brand canned soups are up 50%. Wild caught fish and lobster, 50% increase. There's a printer shortage, laser and inkjet printer shortage, and cartridge shortage. There's a camera shortage. People are pre-ordering the latest and greatest DSLRs, but the pre-orders are backlogged because some of them are in Taiwan, some are in Vietnam, some are in Singapore, some of them are in China, some in Japan. So there is a people shortage to make them because even nationwide, worldwide. So let's talk about something else that's really shocking. Pee-wee was just talking about propane's going to be up. Has anyone ever thought about heating oil? It's right now $7 a gallon for heating oil. Get your heating oil now because wintertime it's going to double or even triple in price to heat your house if you have heating oil. Propane's the same. Propane's going up in price. Another shortage, antibiotics. There's pharmacies are having problems with antibiotics and everything else. Again, it's all due to the employee shortage of lazy workers. There's gun manufacturing shortages. They can't get anything made till 2025. They say if they can get their people back to work, they could get gun ammunition running between 2026 and 2027. Think about it. 2026 to 2027. I just checked. They charge it by the ton. So if you break it down by the gallon, it's like $20 a gallon for bunker oil. Now you can say, well, what's bunker oil? Bunker oil is what's used in cruise liners and in container ships. So they're paying like $2,000 a ton for bunker oil. So it's about $20 a gallon. And they have to have a lot of bunker oil. So just across from China to LA, it's like $250,000 of bunker oil just to carry those container ships across the country. Now, if you want to know more about breaking down and how the people on these cargo ships are working, go check out Chief Macaw's YouTube channel. Great guy, by the way. I tune in to him periodically. People that use wood stoves, wood's getting harder and harder because they want to cut out wood stoves. They want to basically say it's a greenhouse gas, and we need to cut it out. Same with pellet stoves. So they're trying to cut it out, make everyone go electric or fuel oil or propane. So firewood shortage. Dog food's increasing up to 70%. Probably cat litter and kitty food's up 60%. Canned beef. I just heard of someone say that it's it's $11 a can at Walmart for canned beef. Bottled water went up 25% so far. Bottled water. Now, if you don't want to, if you have a place where the water's not safe to drink, that's expensive. But if you can just get a Brita water filter and filter it out through your tap water, you might be better off buying the Brita water filter system. Canned tuna went up 25%. If you can get a hold of it. Fruit crops are going to go up 75% due to certain states having problems with their crops. Like Washington has heavy rains and early freeze, so their crops were damaged. I know because I used to live in apple country, so apples are going to go up. Acetylene is like $10 a gallon for acetylene to use your torches. So not many people are welding right now. The welders are not welding unless they have to repair something. Otherwise, repairs are on hold for boats and other things that need to be welded together. Same with arc welders and heliarcs, water meters. Those water meters that you put in your homes, there's so much of a shortage around the country that they average at $3,500 a water meter. I mean, literally, if you're thinking about it, there's a shortage on everything. More likely, I have a feeling most everything's coming from China. So don't quote me. It could be just a lazy factory worker problem here in the country. Lazing on the food stamps, extended food stamps. Another thing, Walmart, Safeway, and Costco minimum, and Sam's Club, and some other places, they're running out of gas because they're not buying enough gas to put in their dang tanks because the gas price is too damn high and people are cutting back on their travels and trips and everything else. Hold on a second. We're almost done. Then I'll talk about my theory. I want to say, before I continue, I want to apologize to Gail if she's watching this. She might be right. Milk might be going up nationwide $10 a gallon. It's possible. I'm saying it's possible. I'm not admitting it's possible. Just depending on the thing. But then again, we have a grain shortage because all our grain's brought in from another country. Our grain's been sold. Our farmers are selling it overseas, and we're buying imported grain, and we're paying more. So how are we? We need to basically get back, tighten our bootstraps, and start basically producing our stuff ourselves to make ourselves self-sufficient. The other thing that's shortage, if you didn't think about it, is medical stuff, medications and pacemakers and dental supplies. People that make dentures and people that make Novocaine and lidocaine and Polcaine. Shortages. So if you go in, you might be seeing the dentist using just the drill and you're in pain like the old ways because there's not enough medications. Because Either it's made in the country, it's out of the country. If it's out of the country, there's a shortage of people. And if it's in the country, there's a shortage of people. Pill bottle shortages. That's another thing. Pharmacies can't give you your pills if there's a pill bottle shortage. Again, think about it. And finally, on the big of the list is medical devices. Now, I checked into wheelchair shortages, electric scooter chair shortages, lift chair shortages, CPAP machines, nebulizer machines. A lot of places, Medicare pays for them, but they can't issue them because the companies that make them aren't making them. Now, what is the cause of all this? I'll tell you my theories, okay? One, the lazy people don't want to work. That's right. The lazy people don't want to work. As long as the extended food stamps come in, they can just sit on their butt and eat and eat and eat and get their free internet from their food stamp card, because as long as you apply through certain internet companies, you get free country. 90% of the country gets free internet, including your free cell phones, including some places are giving free rent, free electricity, or subsidized electricity. But guess what? I was talking to someone the other day, a caseworker I know, a friend of mine, 2 caseworkers. The money isn't there to help other people that need it. Some people, the state turns around and the county covers mental health. Mental health's been stripped to cover people that don't want to work, to cover their rent and their electricity, because they don't want to go back to work working at a McDonald's or a Burger King or Dairy Queen or fast food or Denny's or an Applebee's. So they stay home and say, oh, until I get a job where I can work at home, I don't want to work at all. But if the food stamps run out, they'll probably get off their ass and work then. So, and then if there is this 100 to 200 million in the country hit, a third to 2/3 hit of coronavirus, not my problem. If you survive, you survive. The problem is this stuff is happening because no one wants to work. The government has turned around and said, well, we are in a pandemic. And Dr. Fauci says, oh, well, there could be 100 or 200 million people get infected fall and winter. So we got to prepare. Well, what are they doing? They're basically causing a mass scare around the country. And people are sucking up everything. If it's not nailed down, they're buying it. Mm-hmm. Now, in one of my videos, I said, wow, we're doing some research. Doing research. You know what I found? All the states are being hit hard. Texas especially. Now, personally, I got not a beef with the Texicans in general. I'm just really pissed off at my cousin Dinky. So technically the Texicans in general shouldn't be suffering, like Washingtonians shouldn't be suffering, or the Oregonians, or the Californians, or the Nevadians. No one should suffer. I'm just pissed because my cousin-in-law, but I can understand where she's going from. So hopefully she's got that pantry. I'm kind of really now worried about them stockpiling, because this is a time where I told them 2 years ago we're going to have shortages. I predicted it. I told Pee-wee. I told everyone here on this channel, we are going to be hit with food shortages, tax shortages, and tax deficits, and everything else because of this pandemic, and things are going to hit the fan. And it did. And people are like, oh, no, you're just wrong. Really. Me and Chloe's restocked our supplies for the next 6 months, basically. Why? Because we're hurting. There's people out there that like my videos, they like my content, and they're like, oh, let me send you a gift or something, or happy early birthday or whatever. Big deal. It's a blessing. We all got to look after each other. Look at Pee-wee. She said when she goes grocery shopping next, she's going to come here and give us a full briefing in the text. Or even if I pay the $25 for StreamYards and she's with Dan, he can give me the briefing on StreamYards directly. Why? Because as a family unit, an extended family, we know, Chloe may be a pain in the ass, but Chloe is briefing me at the grocery stores here. But my family in Texas, my family must be so penny pinching because they can't even pay the postage stamps. I just got another book of stamps to send them a letter. I might write them a letter basically saying I'm not a freeloading mooch, but also ask them for an update on their supply and demand needs, because What is it there? I hear in Texas it's pretty bad. Oh, not to mention, like I said, ammo and gun shortages, crossbow shortages, archery shortages, knife shortages. There's a shortage in everything, and it's all because of materials. Some are made with plastic, some are made with rubber, some are made with steel, some are made with stainless steel. There's a shortage on everything. And one is, I think it's the lazy worker syndrome. Two, it's the paranoid syndrome. Everyone's paranoid they're going to die, so they better stay in and cut corners. And because they're cutting corners, the ones that my cousins say, "Oh, Rita, you're a freeloading bum and a mooch and a freeloading a moocher," right? Well, here's the thing. What's the definition of a freeloading moocher? Okay, I'll tell you what a definition, in my opinion, is. Not me, okay? I've learned I'm not a moocher. You know what it is? I'll tell you. It's the people that don't want to work, okay? That go out and they get their free cell phone every month. They get the free internet. They get their rent covered by the county and the state. They get their electricity half or free. They get food stamps extended at $2.50 a person. Who's paying for it? Cousin who's working? My cousin-in-law is working. Her family and everyone else around me is working, right? I'm disabled, so I have, I was just telling someone today my glasses are getting harder and harder to wear and see because of the whatever's in the lenses are dissolving faster and faster every time. But we're not going to talk about my problems. I'm here for you guys. And so, because of the lazy syndrome, hold on a sec. Because of the lazy worker syndrome, people are basically not making things. That includes the Chinese. They've closed the doors. Most of their factories aren't making anything for anyone in the world. Think about the Chinese, okay? They're living on their savings, maybe eating rice every day. Should we feel sorry for them? No, because we need to basically tell our companies that if you want a decent wage, you need to go to work in here. Move everything over here and work again and make this country better and great. Instead of relying on Chinese for computer chips, put computer chip factories out here. If you're worried that TVs are getting shortages, what they are, make them out here like we did. You got problems with radios, make them out here. Pharmaceutical companies are worldwide. Move your pharmaceutical companies. We already know there's a lot of generics out there. Bring in the factories over here. Build them here. Companies and the greedy people the greedy corporations shouldn't want low tax rates because we're moving things overseas. Bring them back here. Once we get and my other theory is if we have to rely on China, then China is going to cripple the entire world because the world is relying on Chinese goods. Let's get rid of the Chinese goods. Let's bring everything back here. So partly it's due to the worker shortages here, and partly it's because of paranoia, and the third part is because we rely on China so much that we can't even basically rely on being self-sufficient in this country anymore, and we're up to our in debt as a nation. And yeah, we could pay $20 billion for an aircraft carrier, but our food shortages and everything else in the supply chains are down because of the lazy worker syndrome. Now, food stamps run out July 31st. So by July 10th, apparently, that's when it's all ending. And unless they go and vote on it right before the election, no one's going to get the extended unless the government decides to do it, cutting corners and robbing Paul to pay Peter or robbing Peter to pay Paul. You see where I'm going with this? Another thing is what's the other theory I have? I have two. Think of what happened in the past. This was the way things looked right after the overthrowing of the government. An overthrow of the government. Yeah, you could sit there and say, okay, yeah. And that means, like, say, Russia overthrew, right? They started having high inflation and the government went down the toilet because, they went communist. And because they went communist, well, you know what happened. Inflation went up. And me and Pee Wee's been talking about communists for a while. We checkmarked all the check marks. Either there's going to be a revolution, which, well, which is highly unlikely with the military weapons that the military holds in this country, or people are going to see a 40-year inflation. The Bloomberg and Warren Buffett and all those were talking about 40 years of inflation. 40 years. Because the wealthy kept living off of everyone else's money and making more money and stock splits and everything else. And now the government turns around and tries to force people, oh, we're going to go all electric. Elon's going to be richer. But some states are basically fighting back. The red states saying, fuck it, we're going to go fossil fuels. It's cheaper. But to do fossil fuels, they don't care if the ozone gets thinner and thinner. They just need cheaper fuel. So it's basically a power play. And because of it, you're having people, the United States is the only country trying to prove greenhouse gases. I haven't seen other countries talking about it at all. Or the new Green Deal, as they say. Why? Because they know it's impossible to do. There was a video game once called World War III. It was based on World War III. It's all about oil. There's a lot of places in the world that uses mass transit so they can cut their corners. If there's no mass transit, you own a car. If you don't have mass transit, you don't own a car. Now, for us, we could just walk a mile, climb the ferry, go over to another place, hop the bus, and go all the way down to Seattle if we have to, or even to Portland, or on the main train lines. But some people don't have that luxury to go. When they're out in rural parts, they need their cars. They don't need electric cars. They don't need to pay $10,000 to Elon Musk for a fucking battery. No, what does that say? I think with this list of shortages, this is like the shortages that happened, like communist. Literally, it looks like the entire world's being forced into communism. That's how I see it. And that is one sick problem. One sick problem. Look, we're talking about food shortages, right? Let me tell you the story. I got some noodles coming in tomorrow. My other orders aren't coming until the end of the month. More ramen and more mac and cheese. There's a mac and cheese shortage. Did you know that? Oh, yes, you did. I just told you that. Think of it. If you go and order something that says in stock and then Amazon makes you wait for it at Walmart, it's because truly their warehouse is empty and they're saying that they have it in stock and they don't because they're hoping the manufacturer makes them enough to ship them so they can ship it to you. So it could be 1 week, it could be 3 weeks, it could be 6 weeks. But when you do get it, you basically hold on to the damn thing. And by the time you do get it, it might be the next time your food stamps are restocked. So you just start buying more stuff. And hope like hell you can weather the storm through winter. With less food, all you need to worry about is your utility costs. Now, where we live, our rent's locked in for the next 12 months. We don't worry. What we got to worry about is when the manager says, oh, you got to basically pay more for rent and they recert you all because your water and your garbage goes up. They got a flat fee for the garbage. So technically with us, when we take trash out, we take out like 10 bags at a time. We have enough trash cans around it. We just keep filling them and throw them out at once. And when they get filled, we just pull them out, change them out. And when we run out of garbage bags, we'll buy another 2-year supply of garbage bags and leave it go at that. And do the same we're doing because it's not going to get any easier. If there is any garbage bags they acquired, there may be plastics, and plastics are getting high, and garbage bags are going through the roof. Last time I checked them, the bags we bought, they were $20 a box. So figure it out. That's $80 for 4 boxes. Double the price. We paid like $9.99 for them or $9.97 with the free shipping. So you do the math. They doubled the price of them. We got enough laundry detergent for the next 2 more years, so we're not worried about that. Bar soap, that's going up in price. Some bar soap's made with animal fat, and that's gone up in price. Think of it. For the final part, are we going communist? More likely we are. Think of it. Think of it this way. We owe China so much money. The world owes so much money to China. What's the theory? Well, cut off our supply so either we manufacture our stuff here or we try to renegotiate with China. China wants the entire world communist. Same with Russia, same with South Korea. North Korea. So while we're at it, Russia's invading Ukraine. He wants to rebuild the former Soviet bloc. How to do that? Take Ukraine first. Then, if the Denmark and Sweden becomes UN nation members, then they got to think, okay, well, Estonia, Latvia, Moldova, see if any of those former Soviet blocs aren't part of the United Nations or NATO, and then go in, and one country at a time. We could be seeing a new Cold War for Russia because they want to dominate everything. What if they take Mongolia and they take this and leave China alone? I mean, at one time they tried it. Russia was working with Vietnam, and Afghanistan kept pushing them out because that was their Vietnam War. And then we took over because of our stupidity after 9/11. I mean, think of it. Leave Afghan alone. Afghanistan's on their own, in my opinion. The thing is the more money we pour into war, the more we'll be pulled into wars, and the more we won't be winning. There's there's sovereignties and countries that don't want our help. Let them battle it out themselves. We have enough home problem fronts anyways, but no, we have to stick our nose in everything. And now we're paying for it. And then these companies think, oh, Uncle Sam's charging too much for taxes. Let's move over to China. Now China controls the factories for these American companies, and they are now worried that they're going to lose their factories to China because they can't produce anything. So then they decide, oh, well, what are we going to do about it? You see? I mean, think about it. All this stuff is probably coming from China, one of the reasons, and the stuff that aren't coming from China is more likely a supply-demand problem due to the fact that China knows that some of the stuff's made in America, and there's a lazy shortage because we keep feeding them food stamps and free rent, free internet, free mental health, free Medicaid, free cell phones, free internet, free electricity, free garbage at times, free water. And that's taxing the shit out of the people that work like Corey and Tara, which I feel sorry for them. But I am not a mooch, by the way. Just remember that. They want to say I'm the mooch. Look around. Look at the fucking people that's lived for 2 years on the government dole doing diddly crap, hoping the pandemic will end so they can get a job at home. There's not enough home jobs. What are you going to do? Homeschool your kids because you can't trust them? Trust the government to take care of your kids because of Uvalde or Sandy Hook? I mean, come on. Eventually, you're going to have to sit down. I mean, I'm sorry to say this, okay? I know Dinky was basically doing what she said in the right, okay? And I apologize to Dinky. She was right in some ways. One was, I think she was trying to say without saying it is we're living in a world where we're going to have to eventually cut corners some more, tight corners. For example, if they're charging right now $2 a can for for a 4-pack of tuna that's the size of this chicken can here, 4-pack of tuna that's the size of this. What in a month or two, it's up another $2 or $4. I mean, you got to think about it. Pee Wee is completely right on canned meat. Get your canned meat while you can. I keep telling you, get your ramen. The reason some ramen's not being sucked up is because some of the ramen's too spicy for people. No one wants to eat it, so I'll eat it. But then there's other ramens you can eat. But some ramens are so expensive. I mean, I showed ramen the other day, $6 a case from some places. Some places had none. What's that tell you? I check Walmart, Amazon, and Target daily. Make sure on the supply and demand chains for this, for you guys, for all of you. And if they're sold out, I go to another store. Thing is we're hurting to no end. And if there is sold out or out of stock, it's because people sucked up it because they know that's all they can afford, like canned beans. Beans are a protein. Bagged beans, protein. People are sucking at rice. Look at Black Jesus before I kicked him out. He was living on rice, basically, cheap meat from probably Brazil or Argentina, but still, he's got to live too. But think of the problems we have in this country. This country is lazy workers syndrome. They think they could suck off of the government till the government kicks them off. And then they'll whine, "Ooh, I'm going to get sick and die." Well, whose fault is it for hoping the government would give you a job at home? I know I wouldn't want to basically be dealing with it, Plain and simple. So think about it. Communism, maybe. Fascism, maybe. Socialism, definitely. Thing is the country's going down the crapper. Literally, the country is going down the toilet. And we as in people need to realize it's going down the toilet fast and rapidly to no end. And that is why you need to take my advice and look at my numbers. Look at my numbers. Look at what I just said. These are all facts. I mean, literally, I run a website or a YouTube channel to keep you informed and to prepare for the worst. The worst is going to get worse and worse and worse. I've said this time and time again. I said when the stimulus checks run out, there's going to be a cooling trend on products. People will not be able to afford it, but some of the stuff might be restocked. But then I didn't take into account that China was going to go into lockdown either. So 99% of Chinese people aren't working. And because of it, look what's happening. Supply and demand is low. We rely on China. China's cut off the major arteries of the entire world because they don't want to get coronavirus. Maybe their country is more prone to dying. Who knows? I mean, literally. I mean, Elon Musk was talking about the populations that are going to die out in Germany and Japan. Maybe. But you know what? Has anyone ever thought that it's not our job to nose in other people's countries' problems? I mean, we have enough problems in this country already. We need to think about the future. And the future is not going to get better unless we all get band together. Instead, we're all divided. Some people say, oh, the Republican Party, when they get into power, we're going to control everything. The Republican Party doesn't give a shit about you. They care about power. The Democrats don't give a shit about you. They want power. And because the Democrats keep making and building weapons and war and everything else, we're up to our ass in debt with China. And China cut us off. Eventually, people are going to have to cut corners to the point where if they need to get new silverware or bowls, they're going to go to the thrift stores. Well, we went to the thrift store the other day and bought some bowls. They were cool-looking bowls, too. It was like $1 a piece, $2 a piece, something like that. They were nice bowls. Deep bowls for soup. But she even bought me a couple teacups for my teapots, out of her own dime. She got me what? 2 teacups. See? Right there. $1 for the teacup. These little things with the matching saucer. See? Little teacups. That was nice, It only costed $1. That was one of her goals this month. She wanted me to drink more tea. But some people think, thing is I like tea. And traditional teacup needs a traditional, here's the saucers to go with it. They only had 2, so Chloe only got 2. But still, you see where I'm going with this? Sometimes you got to cut corners. Sometimes you're going to have to pull yourself by the bootstraps. Now, these teacups are perfect because they have the little saucers. And I drink tea in the evening, so, that's one of my happiness. But what what Dinky, I think, is trying to say is this. I may survive better than most people because of the ramen and other stuff that I'm picking up. But there's other people out there that can't, or they don't open their eyes to plan for the future. And those people are the ones that's going to be hurting severely. And all these people are coming together now, talking on the internet and YouTube and stuff, talking about high prices on supply and demand problems like fly fishing, and flies are hard to get a hold of, or fly rods are hard to get a hold of, or fly shops going under because they can't make the quota for sage for $1,200 rods or $1,000 rods. They're selling $500 rods. They can't even supply their Reddington brand because the stock and supply and demand's out because the people in China are not working, or whatever. TFO, they're doing pretty good because they're out of Korea. So, you can't complain. Hardee's aren't doing too bad because they're Korean made now. So you look at the big picture, what's made in America, what's made in China, what's made in other countries. I mean, if cell phones are having problems, they're going to have to start cutting people off and saying upgrade will come as soon as the chip shortage is over. But why are we having a chip shortage? Why are we having a computer shortage? Why are we having a laptop shortage? It's because China's cut us off. Factories that make laptops, desktops, parts for it, they're all shut down. They're not giving us anything. And if some of these things are made overseas, there's your answers. Maybe some of the big parts for cars, like, Elon Musk's Teslas or their Ford or Chevy or Dodge. Maybe some of their parts are from overseas and they just assemble it and call it made in America when it's all assembled. So the assembled parts aren't around. We don't know. No one's telling us how the auto industry works. Fly rod industry is easy. They get all the parts and components from other countries, and then they put them together. And that's why it takes 6 to 12 weeks or 24 weeks or even a year to make these rods, because they can't mass produce them anymore because they're waiting for parts. And then don't forget, anytime you bring in, say, Portugal, I think it's Portugal, the cork from Portugal, for the cork handles, the best cork, again, that's basically expensive too. Why? Because they got to pay the import fee. So Uncle Sam gets the not only here's how it works, okay? If you guys don't know, this is how the government's ripping people off, and people don't even know it. You go online, you go and you wait 6 months to a year for new fly rod. Let's just say you buy it and you buy a Chinese made in their backlog, and you finally get it. The company turns around and brings it in. But then the company charges more for the American to buy it because the company paid the import tax. Say it was made in China, so you have an import tax. Then when you get it and you're ready to get it delivered, you were already paid a sales tax for the state that it's going to. So the state gets a sales tax, and you get the consumer pay the import tax. See? Now, say you buy a car, right, and the parts are all out-of-country parts, and they got to assemble it in America. Each part is higher for that car price because you're paying the tax for each part that goes into your car that's outsourced. So, for example, if someone goes and buys a $1,200 fly rod that's assembled in Washington, you just paid $1,200 for the fly rod and $120 for sales tax, not including the shipping tax, the shipping of shipping your rod to you, not including you got to pay sales tax. In most cases, they include it in the price for the shipping tax. So in all, you're paying too much in taxes for that product. That's why companies, now Gail might be right. I said it could be a possibility. I'll wait and see. But Gail could be right, and the price of milk could go to $10. But there's a lot of farmers out there that make milk. Unfortunately, Gail didn't tell me when I did the milk research today that some of these farms that make milk and produce milk are basically losing their farms because they can't afford the feed for the cows or afford the fuel surcharge to deliver the milk to the homogenized and the two things that they do, they homogenize and pasteurize. That's right, pasteurize, right? Homogenize and pasteurize your milk. So your milk's homogenized and pasteurized, and because of it, you're paying more money. So they're basically losing their farms, say in other places like Texas and Wyoming, Montana, those places. Even in blue states, it's not just a red state problem. Some of these farmers can't afford the animal feed. They can't afford the milk machines that break down because they can't get parts for them because more likely they're from China. They can't afford the fuel for their trucks to deliver the milk that they pump out. So in the end, the farmers go bust. Think about it. Think of it as that way. Basically, you sit there and you say, oh, well, milk might be $10 a gallon. Could be. Gail might be right, but Gail didn't tell me the thing. She's like, ow, it's going to be $10 a gallon. But she didn't tell me how. And then when I do the research, it turns out it's because the farmers can't get the parts for the milking machines. The farmers can't get parts for the trucks. Their farmers can't get the feed because the feed went up through the roof to feed the animals, the supply, even if they live on a farm and they can free range, they still got to eat their pellets to keep certain things. So in the end, the farmers go bankrupt. Sometimes they'll send their milk cows to another dairy, but a lot of dairies are going bankrupt because of the fact that they can't afford the repair parts for the trucks. They can't afford the repair parts for the milking machines because the milking machines are not available. And a lot of these farmers don't want to sit there by hand going, because some of them don't even know how to milk a cow by hand. They just hook up a machine, push a button, and then they transport it into a truck. But if the truck's broken and they can't get an oil filter or they can't get motor oil to lube the bearings in the engine and to lubricate the pistons, and then they turn around and so milk could go up in price because the ones that are working, they have to pay more money for oil changes or oil filters and motor oil. They got to pay more for parts to keep their truck in working order. They got to pay more for feed. So in the end, it's coming out of the consumers, which means their milk could be $10 a gallon. Currently, it's $5, but we don't know what's going to happen. But if milk goes up, people are going to stop buying cereal for the kids. They're going to go start buying steel cut or rolled oats in a can. But oats are going to go up in price. Why are they going to go up in price? Well, let's see. Why is oats going up in price? Because Ukraine and other countries provide our grain. We don't produce our own grain. What we produce goes overseas, supposedly. So in the end, everything that we do, we're a country that relies on others to produce things because we don't make it ourselves anymore. Look at coffee. Coffee might go extinct one of these days because people drink too much of it. Tea might go extinct one day because of it. But you know what? It's not good. It is not good. And people eventually are going to, and I think this is where Dinky was going with me on this discussion before she called me a mooch, which I'm not, is look at the big picture of supply and demand, okay? Eventually, this is where I'm going with this before I log off to watch a movie and see if Pee Wee watches this hour-long show and others, is this. The American people are going to have to turn around eventually. And I think this is where Dinky was going with this. So I apologize, Dinky. I'm so PO'd. I'm not a mooch, okay? But Dinky, I think, was saying, you might want to give your body a rest from caffeine and tea and all this crap. Well, I eat one meal a day. So if I eat a bowl of ramen, I'm quite happy to eat the ramen. But at the same time, Dinky doesn't realize that there's a food shortage. She's like, oh, well, I like eating 3 meals a day. Well, she might even have to cut it down to 2 meals a day or 1 eventually. This might go into another depression. It might go into a 40-year recession. It might go into a 40-year stagflation or stagnation or a 40-year inflation period because too many people are financing everything they own. They're not literally stockpiling stuff. They're going out and seeing the latest and greatest TV, and they're paying $20,000 for it and financing it, thinking they want to beat the Smiths or compete with the household of the Smiths, or what the old saying goes, there's 2 families and they're competing with each other, so one family's trying to get the best, the other one wants the best. The thing is, in this country, we're financing so much. So the finance charge for everything's gone through the roof. But now the country's hurting because too many people are relying on credit cards, credit card payments, car payments, house payments. People are realizing they can't afford it. I mean, look, there's people out there, okay? I know Tara J was talking about houses the other day. She was looking to buy a house, okay? Good for Tara J. But the housing market's going down the toilet, and we're going to have a housing bubble like 2008 soon. Me and Pee Wee talked about this today. It's going to pop. And when it does, people are going to be hurting. But that's not the worst of it. If someone owns a house, and I'm not trying to discourage Kara J from buying a house, it's her business, not mine. But how many people are going to be paying $15,000 to $20,000 for a new roof or higher? What if you need to buy a water tank? They went up. Apparently, a water tank used to be $500. Now it's like $1,500 for a basic water tank because they're apparently made in China. Sorry, I had to throw that joke in there again, the Chinese thing. And General Electric used to make water tanks in this country, but we don't know. I don't have a list of everything that's made in this country anymore. I don't. It changes day by day. And because of it, we're relying on other people to bring in our stuff. And because of it, companies don't think that we're worthy to manufacture it because the companies over here, the greedy son of a bitches, they think if they can cripple the country, that people will just basically be happy. But the thing is there's two ways I see this going. One is the country goes down the shitter due to the fact that inflation's so high, and they're trying to force everyone to go to work, which means people will start building contracting buildings for, um, factories. And then the companies will basically bring it back here, hoping I tell someone out there will give them a deal on taxes and everything else so they can maintain and give them a decent wage, which they don't want to give a decent wage. So we're relying on China. But if China cuts us off completely, the only ones to blame isn't the consumers, but it's the fucking greedy politicians and the business owners thinking sending everything overseas is the right thing to do. So what happens? We hurt and we get punished for it. Think about it. If we were in the 50s and 40s, most people were working, whether it be in schools, restaurants, hotels, manufacturing jobs. But eventually, they started slowly weaning these people off because a lot of them didn't want to go union. So if they could go overseas where they could pay less money to a Chinese worker and it's not unionized, we were basically better suited to be punished. And then we started relying on people. And now you're seeing what's going on like in the Cold War. Airplanes being stripped of their parts. Shipping container ships and cargo ships, cruise liners, etc. They're doing the same thing. They're breaking parts up from one thing to keep another ship going. Is this type of the world we want to live in where we got to strip parts for one thing to work another? I mean, eventually, no one's going to be able to afford anything. People are going to see the housing market crashes and they're going to lose their homes. They're going to see their jobs gone. They're going to see their housing market gone. They're going to see the stock market going. All this is going down the toilet. And whose fault is it? It's not the citizens. Maybe they are if they're lazy, but most part, it's the big companies. I mean, do you think companies out there are going to be doing things? No, they don't. Why? Because they're so damn greedy. They think if the grocery stores raise their prices because the factories are raising prices on food, and the grocery for.
I'm not going to pick up much. I'll take my backpack, so only light stuff.
Sure. Let me give you the phone. You can call me. You're going to King's, I assume. Maybe there's something at the deli. I don't know. Just depends. If you find something, let me know. Here's the phone.
I'll check the deli out.
Anyways, like I said, I'm about to log off. Chloe's got the phone. I can turn on Google Voice.
Got barbecue grilled chicken tomorrow there.
I'm not into grilled chicken. I like fried chicken myself. Nice, freshly made fried chicken. Not chicken tenders, but chicken legs. But I haven't had a decent fried chicken in a long time. So, Anyways, like I said, we're basically going like the Cold War. We're basically doing a minor half-ass job repairing airplanes that fly in the skies by swapping old parts that are mothballed with current ones because airplane manufacturers can't make parts. Shipping freight boats, freight ships or cargo ships and cruise liners, they're doing the same. Trains are doing the same. Whether it be commercial trains or freight trains or passenger trains, they're doing the same. Where basically people are stealing car parts around the country to keep their cars working by taking distributor caps and alternators and catalytic converters and anything else that's not nailed down. Hell, they'll probably take tires if they know the tires will fit. I mean, think of it. You're going to see a lot of theft going in this country because People won't be able to afford anything, so they're stealing other people's cars and trucks and truck parts and motorhome and travel trailer and camper parts and anything else they can get their grubby hands on. Think about it. Literally, we're going to see in the next 2 years this country change rapidly, or less, just depends. But in the end, what's going to happen? Are we going communist? More likely. Do you think there's enough people with AR-15s that can stand up against the United States? Maybe. But at the same time, the U.S. has got tanks, bombs, missiles, and nuclear war machines. They can just drop one nuclear bomb on a whole bunch of people. Think about it. I want you to think clearly. The United States is bankrupt. Inflation's going through the roof. Banks are trying to hold things together. China's holding us hostage with their products. If we just woke up, saw what we were doing, and we went ahead and basically started manufacturing everything here, that's fine. It could be like that guy in Norway said, we could be at the big reset in the fourth industrial revolution. Who knows? Thing is your best bet right now is to prepare. Prepare for whatever happens. Make sure you keep your food supplies pretty well stocked. If you have to eat 2 meals a day, cut it down to 2. If you have to cut it to 1 meal a day, fine. Make sure to keep your medication stocked too. Medication's getting harder and harder to get a hold of. Everything that you have will be had. Which reminds me, I need to check Google Calendars for a second. I got an appointment coming up. I just don't know what time. So I'm checking Google Calendar because I hope it didn't delete. All right, so I'm in June. Let's see, I got appointment. Okay, so Chloe's got an appointment in 8:20 in the morning. I got an appointment at 7:45 on the 21st. Okay. Which, yeah. So, anywho, that's what's going on. Like I said, you got to think about all that list. If you have any questions or concerns, you know what happened. What's up? Huh? I'm going to watch a movie now. So, I got a movie to watch. If you guys have anything to say or do, just call me or email me or actually leave a comment. I'll get back to it right away. That's better. For the people that know me and have my email address, feel free to email me. We have a Discord channel. If you guys ever want to know about it, ask about it. We take suggestions and stuff. So, there you have it. This video is short, but it gets to the point of, are we going communist? Are we going socialist? Or are we going fascist? I don't know. We got to wait and see. But all points are, think of the Cold War. Think of what the Cold War did. Stripping parts from one thing to keep something going on another. We're going down that path because we're relying on too much. We're relying on our grains from other countries. We're relying on our oil from other countries. We're relying everything that we need for raw materials to be brought to us, and yet we're not getting those raw materials or medications or things. We're watching our country collapse from within because there's not enough people to realize that there's a problem. Think about it. Finances, down the toilet. Country goes. Inflation, up through the roof. Next few months, you're going to see inflation go through the roof. You're going to see it hit worse in September when school's back in. When people are going back to school, colleges and stuff. You're going to see inflation go through the roof. You're going to see laptops, even Chromebooks double the price. Laptops and desktops double the price. You're going to see things that people need for school even double to triple the price. Why? Because most likely China's not going to be open. So unless we manufacture your school supplies or go through other channels, think about it. Clothing for school is manufactured in various countries. India, Pakistan, Nepal, Mongolia, China, Japan, Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, Singapore, Taiwan. You don't see much being made in European countries, by the way. Think about that. So the Asian countries are holding us hostage. Think about it. Our Levi jeans used to be made in this country. Now they're made mostly in Vietnam or China. Some of the brand names I wear at home for shirts, made in Malaysia. So think about it. Are you going to get a deal? No, you're not. You're going to see clothing shortages, wool shortages, cotton shortages. Cotton comes from Egypt and other countries. Some people use cashmere for their goats, like in Mongolia. A lot of our cashmere comes from Mongolia. You're going to see a supply and demand chain problem for all of it. Think about it. That's all I'm asking. I'm asking you to think about it, chew on it, chew the fat, think about it carefully, and get back. Leave a comment. Please add and subscribe. Please post comments. Leave feedback, suggestions. Hit the like, subscribe button so it's funny for your family, including your dogs, your cats, your bunnies, your service dogs, service bunnies. Hit the bell notification for new content every day. I will re-update this list tonight for the night edition or tea time with Rita. Leave the comments nice as all we ask. Thank you, and God bless you in everything you do.